I pledge allegiance. All right, let's start that again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, you're good. All right. Oh, sorry. Back to the top of my agenda now. Do we have any additions to the agenda this evening? Yeah, we do have one. Sorry, it's totally my fault. We need to add an action item to set a date for an executive session to discuss just the superintendent's progress towards goals and just part of that evaluation. So if we could agree to add that, that would be awesome.
Sounds good.
Okay. And anything else? All right, well then, hearing no other additions, we'll go ahead and approve the agenda with the modification in our new business area. Next up is our consent agenda. There a motion to entertain there.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? I don't see any, so Laura, I'll go to you for votes.
We'll take a vote.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Russ.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Do we have, Laura, do you have any patron comments, or is there anybody online for patron comments this evening? I'm just looking for hands. We'll give, I don't see any hands. We'll give a second. See, sometimes those online hands are slow. Okay, I don't see any hands, and I don't have anybody here for patron comments, so we'll move straight into reports. Let's move to the superintendent report first.
Tonight, can everybody hear? Is it sound okay online? Thumbs up, anybody online? Okay.
You guys sound great. Thank you.
Of course, Deb. I'll be presenting the SIA grant agreement for approval by the board tonight. That's the last piece before we get the money released. So that'll be done later in the new business. Mrs. Shunk and I are currently working on the early literacy grant. And when I say currently looking, we're going to click on the link tomorrow and start working on it. The early literacy grant, the governor allocated monies for each school district to work on literacy specifically for K-3. We've been attending different meetings and trainings in regarding to the application. We're presenting it to the board at the January 2024 meeting because that will be part of the grant. What we've been told is that this will be folded into our integrated guidance application. But, you know, this is kind of a hurry up and wait kind of thing that we've been given. I've met with community health centers of Benton and Lincoln counties. I met with Christine Mosbaugh and Lacey Malal to discuss the medical facilities for ALSI. They want to partner with us more to survey our families to see what kind of medical, needs, thoughts, wants, et cetera, et cetera. They've been doing surveys, but they indicated to me that the surveys were more for the older members of our community, and they have not heard from families. And so we're trying to decide what would be the easiest way to survey families, especially with school-age children, and what needs are there. We're going to continue to meet. There's been some ideas floated around that maybe the school district could possibly start a school-based health center and use that building. So it really come under our purview. I'm not sure if we're in a place to do that right now, but we're just kind of talking about it and working with Sarah Cash and Naomi to kind of think of ways at this point, because there is money with the school-based health centers that we could use, that we could partner with, that I think maybe would allow that to come, but that would be adding another facility to the school. So we're not really quite sure. I don't know if we have the capacity, to be honest with you right now. So we're going to continue to talk about it. Dawn and I met with Jason Hay, the superintendent of the ESD, and Rocco Louier. The CFO, I don't know, Dawn. Yeah, we're really trying to delineate roles and responsibilities of each entity, especially with payroll. Dawn has been asking about looking, I mean, we all know that with our decreasing enrollment, we are going to see less of a budget. So we're really trying to figure out how to use our monies effectively and efficiently, especially in the upcoming years. To really figure out, is this something we could bring on? Would it be cheaper to bring in-house, or is it something that we can do through them and it just makes more sense? Working with the STEM Hub again. We had STEM night 2 nights ago. It was great. STEAM night, sorry, STEAM STEM.
No,
Steam-
I thought it was supposed
it's-
to be STEM, but.
what
Is
no,
this STEAM? Because there's an art in there, right?
It's
Yeah,
the-
yeah, that's
so-
the A, yeah.
There you
Yep.
go.
So at my VASCA meeting, superintendent meeting, Ryan Noss, who's the superintendent at Corvallis, is actually very much into the STEM Hub and really bringing it into Corvallis. And so I know that our STEM Hub works with our library and some of our teachers were getting activities through the library, but I met with the director of the STEM Hub and she was like, we can send people to you. And I didn't know that. So Mrs. Treadway, our fourth grade teacher, actually started it and they came out and did an activity and we set this up. And then when we were there the other night, actually, Chris, who's kind of the head of the educational head, was like, oh, we already have third, fourth, and fifth grade set up. We're going to come out and do something with them. And K1 and 2, I've asked to come. So we're trying to get more of that working relationship and having them come out and do robotics and just different activities with our kids. Part of the funding of the STEM Hub does come from the state, but it's not enough to fully, for lack of a better term, to fully fund it. So we at our superintendent's meetings are talking about, could schools do some funding of it, especially if we use it? And I'm okay with that as long as we're using it, which I think we are. My teachers are pretty excited about it. And then the last, we're talking with the awesome grant. Now, the thing that we really are concerned about, I know Chris and Nancy have talked about, is there's this March 30th deadline to spend the money. And right now, Dawn has been really working hard with Chris and Nancy to spend as much as we can. But we are asking the state for an extension to make sure that we can get the project done and not lose money. We right now are looking for ways to spend down the awesome grant, but we're estimating if we don't get the extension, we could lose possibly between $300,000 and $400,000. However, there is money in the budget for it. There's that facilities contingency right on. Is that what it's called? Capital projects. We do have about 234,000. So we could get into that and we could do some other things, but we're hoping that they will give us an extension because we don't want to do that. We want to keep that money, for different pieces. And so Dawn and Chris and Nancy have been working super hard. Dawn's actually been in contact with ODE about ways that we can ensure, what do we need to do to get that extension? I've written a letter. We are going to keep the scope and work of the project because we need to. We spent a lot of time and efforts planning. We just really want to make sure we don't have to dip into our budget to do it. So our goal is to get an extension through September 30th. Pretty sure the timeline, we're shooting for August 15th to have that building completed, knowing that it could, things run over. But we're pretty sure September 30th will be done. So yeah, that's about it.
Are we able to start purchasing some of the pieces for the forecasted work, some of wiring, electrical stuff that's coming for the, finalization of any of that? Is there anything that we can?
Well, we've been looking at some different things and Don will talk about what he's been doing in his report.
Okay.
Unfortunately for this project, you can't because it comes in a bid package. So like you say, this is how much it is, the contractor. So next Wednesday, we have a meeting to look for a pre-bid meeting. But yeah, I wish I've been asking, they're like, no, it kind of comes in the package. So like the 1.4 that we're estimating would have everything with it. I wish it would because we would have been spending already. Dang. Okay. Data for regular attenders. You can see we are going up. Remember, regular attenders are students who attend school 90% or more of the time. Um, the one thing I really like about having a new system is you get some really good data that we can find. The one thing I don't like is because you have to figure out now how to run the system. And sometimes things you're like, oh, I didn't know I had to unclick this button. So you can see previous enrollment said we were at 292. We weren't. What happened is when kids came in and kids left, we didn't realize, Laura picked it up like a couple days before. When kids leave, they don't unenroll, they don't automatically unenroll from our system. So you actually have to go in and unenroll them. Like there's a button we found we had to click. So, but I'm very happy to see that our regular attendance and is increasing. 68%, not spectacular, but we're getting there. It's better than like the 55 we had last year.
For seniors though. There's like
The seniors are, I will tell you, Kayla and Bart have been very good about going in and being like, oh, would you like to graduate this year? Really talking about the importance. We're going to start, I'm going to write a letter home to all families that discusses what regular attendance is so they know, and then saying start second semester, we're going to start checking and you're going to get letters home.
Did you share your idea?
Yep, I got it.
Awesome.
And we announced a new award today. Nobody knew, I just did on the fly, is that each month for every class, we're going to look at class attendance, and whoever has the highest attendance will get a party. And we're going to do stuff with a board so people can see.
Awesome.
You know, really, how do we get them here? And so that's really where we're working. Now, this is both online and brick and mortar. We are really working hard to define the online attendance. They're really actually, I think the attendance policy was never really delineated. And so Laura and I are like, okay, what does it look like? We're really working on trying to get the teachers there, and they're doing actually a really good job about contacting parents and saying, hey, we haven't seen your kid, you know, what's going on? And so Heather's really been focusing, because I've noticed a lot of our lower attenders are actually online. So she's really been focusing about how to get that up. So it's very nice to see that number going up. If we stayed at 68 to 70 for the year, I actually would be very happy, because like I said, last year, I think it was like 55. So we're getting there. It's still sad, but we're getting there.
something's breaking through because they're showing up to school. I mean, there's a connection happening. So it's,
Yeah.
good job. Thank you.
Just some classroom stuff. I've been really asking my teachers. I think one of the things that we're missing, and I want us to start thinking, quit thinking in a mindset of deficit. Like, yes, we know we're losing money. Whatever. We need to think about what we do have. And so I've been asking my teachers, I know you guys do great stuff in your classroom. I want to know what it looks like. So the 4th grade students had the STEAM activity where they came out and discussed motion and energy with dominoes. The 5th grade, and I actually didn't know the 5th grade was doing it. I happened to walk out there because I like to stick my head in every classroom every day just so they know. The 5th graders did a research project on planets, and then the 3rd graders came in and they gave speeches about their research project. I mean, it was great. They were really great about it. And the 3rd graders were like, I thought it would not go well. They were just, I mean, some of the questions, I was like, holy people, come on. We did the jogathon. We took the K through 8 students to an OSU game. And they loved it. Like, they came back, they all had orange towels. And so they were all swinging their towels all day long. You know, people were getting 4 or 5 different towels. And so they loved it. They got to actually see OSU beat Weber State. Most importantly, though, we got our kids on a college campus so they could see what it looks like. And it doesn't even matter if you're in kindergarten, they still got to go experience that, which I think was great. The greatest part is we actually took high school students with us to help, and all the teachers said that the high school students were just amazing with the kids. And so it was great. We did the jogathon. Sam Petter did an amazing job with the jogathon. The 6th graders, Mrs. Evans and her class, decided to start doing cells. And so they went with Mr. Harris, and he gave them some microscopes and slides to use, and they were looking at cells and identifying organelles and talking about them and making posters. And then they went out and actually found some plants that they took leaves and looked at different plant cells. So they talked about that. It was great. Our K through 12 staff did a Savage training. We did elementary student of the month, which was, the theme was optimistic. And so, you know, we're trying to get really out. I think it's really important for us to quit talking about what we don't have, like I said, and talk about what we do have. We have really been trying. Nicole Davis has been doing a great job about, we're getting stuff from people, putting it out on Facebook. I think it's super important that we sell ourselves for what our kids are doing and what our staff is doing. We have a great staff. And so I've told Nicole our goal is to get as much good positive things out, both K through 12, about what we're doing. And so, yeah, so we had our assembly, and we talked about how do we get parents more involved in our assemblies, and we just did one switch and we had tons of parents there today. So it was just a time switch. So lots of stuff has been happening in the elementary. Sometimes I can't keep up with it, but it's been great. So that is my principal report.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, learn at home. Is Heather online tonight?
I think I saw her.
Yeah, I don't know if I just
She
can't
is.
see that
I see
side.
she's there. Heather, are you there?
Wonder if,
If not, I can go to Bart. She won't be here tonight.
let's do that. We'll go to Bart's really quick while we get that situated.
Okay, hold on. She's here. Or can you unmute? But it won't let me go on.
If you just click on that ask to unmute right there. No, the blue, when you hover over her name, Laura, and click on that ask to unmute, that should allow her. Why don't we'll go to the high school report and then we'll keep working on unmuting Heather. Sorry, Heather.
Like I said, we started to offer after school tutoring on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3:30 to 5:20. Bart and Mr. Rothenberger, and I'm very excited for him, is very proud of the fact that, and I would agree that we looked at all of our athletes 5 through 12, or actually more 7 through 12, 5 and 6 are a little different. But as of yesterday, between 7 through 12, we only had 2 student athletes who had absent classes. So they have been going to these after school classes. Kayla's been doing a great job with meeting with students, especially those who have Fs, and just attendance wise to say, what can we do to help? They've been working a lot. Kayla's been working a lot with Lynn and ESD about, what are ways that we can, especially at 9th grade, that we can really talk about how do you understand what graduation requirements are. And so Bart, Kayla, and I have really actually been sitting down quite a bit and talking about how do we go into classrooms and really have kids understand, like, when you're a freshman, like, those classes matter. He gave one positive for each class. He's he's actually been really great. He's really excited. They've been really focusing on academics for the kids. If you look at, he also put on the Clemens Foundation. There was a question about the Clemens Foundation, the different sort of designs that the kids made. So he went and found all of the designs and wanted to show you all the ones that the kids had done and that Sue had brought to the Clemens Foundation board members and which ones they picked. So the very first one is the one they picked. So that is the new. Amazing. And so that will actually be on the trophies for our tournament.
Oh, awesome.
So those will be on those, but I mean, you can see there were actually we had trouble like picking.
Yeah.
Bart asked me to pick, it took a while. And then so we picked, and then he took them to Sue, and they took them a couple days to pick because they're all super good. And that was 7th through 12th grade, I believe, that those kids were doing those. I wanted him to show you all 7 through 12 student grade, how many students have DRFs. I think that's important for us to start having conversations about. When we talk about student data and how we budget, this is kind of that piece, right? Looking at when we see what is our data telling us. So here you can see that we have 8 students in the 9th grade who have Fs. So Kayla is actually, and Bart are taking that data and going with the students and talking to parents. And, that's, the after school tutoring. How do we get those kids there? Those numbers, I will tell you, have improved, but it really is because we're having conversations, we're having them go to after school tutorings. But this is the type of data, when they talk about using your data to set budgets, this is what we're talking about. How do we support the kids? It's kind of disheartening to see that we have 3 seniors with Fs. But I'm going to tell you that changed. Now I believe there's only 1. Because we were able to go, Bart and Kayla were able to go to the teacher and say, what can we do to help support this kid? And we're really working on having the kids learn to advocate for themselves. So it's not like Bart and Kayla go, they actually make the kid go with them and talk to parents. So again, this is the type of data we're looking at. This is what we want to see as we move forward. Yeah. So, and then Bart wanted to show the last one. It was a picture that the junior high and high school students did about things they were thankful for. That it was up in the hallway. So he wanted to show that too.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Shunk, I think I saw you on the screen.
My report. I think it's probably your life. I think it's my one. Nope, don't have something to do at home.
Wi-Fi's.
You're hitting and missing tonight. That's
yeah.
okay.
Well, and I'll
That's
kind
okay.
of talk about hers
Yeah,
too.
go
I
for
did want her to put on your guys's as well, is the learn at home data. My Wi-Fi is like really super slow.
Yeah.
The learn at home data about iReady. And so one of the things, and you all have had a chance to read it, I just want to highlight really quick. I don't know where it is at, but remember last meeting, I showed you all kind of the participation on the iReady. Remember we talked about how we want kids to really be hitting their lessons 30 to 49 minutes. And so again, we're talking about data. We went and looked at hers and she noticed that they weren't hitting that much. And so she's using that data to really talk with her teachers about how do we really get kids to work on skills they need to work on, and what are some changes we can put in our structures and system to get those things implemented. And so we're constantly using that data and talking about it. And it is a culture shift in some aspects, but we're really using that data because we know if kids are working on skills that they're low in, they can really like find those gains. And often, we have kids in classes who are way up here and we have kids who are way down here. And so it's really hard for the teacher to do tons of differentiation. As much as they do it, they can't always hit everything they need. So these skills will help them. One of the things that Mrs. Shunk is very excited about, and she actually called me, that 74% of her students have a 90% attendance rate or better. There are some that are lower. Again, we're working with the teachers, but when she pulled that number, I think she called Laura and Laura helped her pull that number. She called me right away and was like, oh my God, look at my numbers. And so lots and lots of great things.
She's back online. So
Okay.
Ms. Shunk, is there anything you wanted to add to that? We're having technical
Yeah, we are.
difficulties all over the place tonight, so sorry about that. Are you able to unmute?
I think she's stuck.
Oh, she
Yeah,
is.
she
Okay.
tried logging out and logging back.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll just keep moving forward. Thank you.
Oh, wait, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is called perseverance, right? Like this is a model of perseverance. Okay, I can't for some reason see you, but if you can hear me, that is great. I appreciate the patience. I want to say that we're celebrating. We have a foreign exchange student that we've hosted for the last month and a half at our house, and so I apologize. We're not at our house. We're at the restaurant celebrating this. But anyhow, yeah, I have been looking at data. We have been doing major data discussions with our teachers, and that has really highlighted a lot of things that we need to be working on. Attendance, we have communication going to families, making sure that everybody is, the families know that we want their children to be present and that they can benefit from that presence, right? And I'm on the phone with families. Teachers are emailing and calling families, and our numbers are going up. So I'm really grateful about that. In my board report, I included our slide deck for November, and I think just really emphasizing, that we're looking at this growth in literacy and foundational skills and reading and math and all of those pieces. It's really putting that on the kids is like, yes, this is what we're emphasizing, and the parents know. And in my newsletter that I also added in the December newsletter, just really trying to build capacity for parents to be able to have these kind of discussions that support this growth at home, and how can they do that without overwhelming parents and saying, hey, you need to, here's how you teach phonics, but really, how do we have these conversations, and what can we look at? Just little tidbits to, help with those conversations. Our teachers are really enjoying like I said, the exploratory time with their students, and I'm able to pop in and see this. So we're seeing a lot of engagement. In fact, I actually subbed today, and I want to emphasize too, we would love to have the board's involvement or visiting. It would be really wonderful to have all of you there, whoever can make it. So yeah, I could go on and on, but I'm really grateful for this time to kind of pull the rug up, look at numbers, look at what we're doing, get plans, engage the families with those plans, and that's kind of what we're targeting. Thank you for your patience there too.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your celebration this evening.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, financials, Mr. Staley. Turn your mic on. He's already sassy tonight, guys. Everybody watch out. Have to hold it with patience. Yep.
Very good.
Good evening.
I'm going to make this brief. I like questions. Hopefully that gets me going. Financial statements will go with the same format, but I want you to note that the taxes have been in, and you'll notice the collection is high compared to budget. So this is only in the first trimester. We still have January and March when people pay. So we'll get more taxes. And if that's the way in this school district, that's the same at Corvallis, and that means there's going to be more money in the state fund to allocate because there's more property taxes, but we won't know that until May of 2025 after the audits. You understand how it all works. So anyway,
Well, they definitely went up.
yeah, I want to go over some lines on there. You'll see some without any dollars in it. There aren't going to be any dollars in it. They just aren't there. So I've been here for almost 5.5 months, and they aren't there. So those numbers, but what's offsetting them is the earnings, because you have money in the LGIP, and right now it's earning 4.9% or 5%. So that is allocated between the bond and the general fund, because whatever has not been spent on the bond has to go to the bond. And so that helps out Nancy and you guys and everybody in that there. So that's the property, that's the revenues. Expenditures are on the second page. I want to answer a question last board meeting. It was on there. What is 1288? It should have been 1288. It's 1280. And 1280 covers all alternative programs, even enrichment programs. And that is what those dollars are for. The expenditure that was in there last month was really for learning at home. And so we've already moved those dollars to the appropriate account, which triggers what we've done in the district office. Bren Campbell, Chris and I have developed written procedures for purchasing, and Bren's going back over those right now and fine tuning them, and then we'll bring staff in so there's clarity in answering questions. We're going to work, it's a process. And first you develop them, then you share them. They come up with concerns and you revisit it, because I come in with my view, but that might not be the way it works here. But you still have to have internal controls, and that's the main thing. And all purchases go through a requisition, and then make it very brief. It depends on the program, and then it goes through the approval process that way. And so everything has to have approval, and Krista sees everything. And what we've also incorporated in the purchasing is projects. So rather than just seeing an account, Krista knows this is Title I or this is SIA. So she knows if it's coded right off the bat. She doesn't, and I don't expect her to know that 251 is that. So that's not her job, but she knows the scope. Other than that, the SIA and the HSS provide a lot of support to ALSI right now. So that is why there's a lot of pluses here, which is good, but it's saving dollars for the next year, which I've shared. We're going to lose a significant amount of money in the next 2 years, and the fund balance is going to keep everything at that status quo. Going to grants, like Krista said, we've been working on the Austin grant. Chris and Nancy and I, we've got an amendment to the original agreement. The ODE approved that. So once they approved that, I submitted a claim for $1.5 million. So we're going to be getting $1.5 million. I talked to Leanne Heilman down there, Hyman, and she doesn't see any problem for it being not approved. The issue about it, I had to go back to the year 2020 and claim invoices from 2020, 21, 22, all the way back. And so we've had to go back, and I've worked with the auditors on that. They're fine with it. I had to give it to the auditors too, so everybody's scrutinized 100%. Krista mentioned options of how, if they don't approve it, because the process is the ODE has already received the request. They send it to the Department of Administrative Services legal team. It's not the ODE, and they have to approve it because the bond money supporting this was issued during this time period. So it had to be spent within a certain time period, their bond dollars. And so she doesn't see a problem because the letter that was written was excellent. Thank you. But you never know. And but working with Chris and Nancy, they said there would be about 400 to 500,000 unexpended of that grant due to the bidding and ordering, and the payments have to be made. You can't prepay it because you have to give invoices that's been received. I mean, it's just the way the grants are. However, I have not claimed dollars on the HVAC that's in the ESSER. So if it's not approved, we will move the ESSER dollar claims for the HVAC into that to lower that by another 150,000. And then we'll have to do another amendment on the ESSER because that one's due in 9/30. That has 9/30 date, and then we can claim those dollars on the CTE building. So it's just moving dollars around and meeting the deadlines, but that would bring it down to 200,000. And so hopefully we will get the expenditures down. And I know Chris and Nancy are working hard on it, so we'll get there. I'm not worried. Other than that, the integrated guidance is on there. Once you approve that plan and they release the dollars, we have to go through some steps. It's down in the middle. you'll see integrated there. I will be claiming all those dollars, 228,000. You'll see in column year to date, these are the amounts that I will claim, and I claim them usually on a monthly basis or a quarterly. It depends on how Krista has to file her reports. So that's the expenditures have to tie to reports.
Can I ask a question here really quick?
Yeah.
On the special revenue,
Uh-huh.
my 250 account 257, why is the baseball softball program built here rather than the general fund like we have the rest of the athletics?
I don't know, it's been there forever. It's just sitting there. I can, for next board meeting, I'll tell you what makes it
Is that
up.
the remainder of the 10?
I'll have to go back and find out what it is.
I wonder if it was because it came from donation.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Could have, I'll find out the source. It's a good question. You'll see on the general fund, there was donations.
Yeah.
But we don't, I mean, you don't put donations in the general fund.
Right.
They
That's
usually
probably
go
what it
in
is.
200, and each of these, this is condensed detail, but what I have written in our accounting system is a report for each of these grants that tie to the budgets for that. And so Krista can run them daily, every minute. Bren can run them. Bren knows how to run them. So anytime there's a question, she can run it both in summary or in detail. And that's how we file our claims. So then you submit that report with your claim that gives all the detail of it. If they want any more detail, rather than doing everything by hand, that's a waste of time. So
Based on that, that's exactly what happened.
I think so. Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
okay, so that's the grants there, and all donations that come in go into 200, and they're broken down into individual. Red monitors those. Okay. Next is your debt service. You'll see with that, it's all collected by, paid off by your property taxes, and you're almost caught up there. So there'll be dollars to cover that. The next payments come in June. Okay. I told Krista the wrong number. She asked me if there was how many dollars, and I said I knew there was a 2, and I knew there was a 4, and I said a 3. It's 274,000 that you have there, not 234. Okay. So that's a reserve for however to meet the needs of the district based on how you want to expend it, the board does. The last one is your bond and your state grant, which I call the awesome. That's where I claimed the $1,466,000. So that leaves 600,000 there yet to be unclaimed, but I can move 164 against that plus other expenses and get it down to hopefully 200 by that. And so I'm pretty sure they'll approve it when it's that small of an amount. If it was 2.1 million, they might look at it differently, I would think, because then we haven't been proactive. So other than that, that is the financial statements. I think our records, reports, and everything are fairly clean, working with staff. Bren and Roxy and those we're all learning new roles. And so I think things are good.
We're really working on getting the administrative, like, so for example, instead of just like coming to the district office and saying, can I buy this for the high school? We're really working on the elementary has a budget and you live within the budget. And really as the principal of those schools, you have a fiduciary responsibility. And so teaching people how to live within your budget rather than coming to Dawn and I and be like, hey, can we afford this? Well, no, you need to plan. And so we've been really trying to break things out that way.
Done pretty clean. Last note, just so you know where the audit, they have to be completed to the state by December 31st. They are going through the invoices that I've gone back from 2021 because they have to look at that per your board resolution. Well, last time on those GASBs, make it easier. They will have the information for me that I can submit to the state, but I don't know if they'll have the report done yet because I have to submit data to the state, all the numbers, and they're going to give me the final adjustments, which are going to be minute. So talking to Krista and Dave, more than likely will be presenting the audit in February, even though it's done around January 1st, because then the board meeting's probably a week after that. So posted, and next board meeting, I'll be working with Krista, and we need to bring a budget calendar to you, so you can, because that's part of the law, that we have an approved budget calendar. So I'll have that to you next board. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for keeping track of all of the dates and deadlines. All right, next up, district enrollment.
Okay, so as Krista mentioned earlier with the enrollment numbers, the way I would pull them last year, that system, if a student withdrew, it didn't include them in those numbers. And now it's called a cumulative ADM, and so it wasn't cutting out, it doesn't take those students out. And so as I was doing the reports for the board this month, I'm thinking, oh, that's really crazy that these are all staying the same, even though I'm pretty sure we've had students leave. And I went back and looked, and it's like, ugh. So I did go in on the enrollment report, and I did adjust those numbers, and I left it in white so that you can see that it's changed. And that's why. So.
Any questions? I guess I would ask, are we where we want to be with enrollment, or what?
No,
what are our
I,
thoughts on that?
no, I don't think we are. I think though that, as a charter school, we have a lot more abilities to, for lack of a better term, recruit people in. We did not do a very good job of it last year. So Bart, Laura, Heather, myself, we're gonna meet, and Roxy Sussman, we're gonna meet to talk about what sort of plan that we can have. I think our goal should really be about 350 in the district. I think if we can get that number, we're gonna be pretty good. I'd like to see 225 to 250 in building, and then between 125 and 150 or online. So, we're changing a culture. You all know we haven't had a very good reputation. And so we really it's important for us to really show what we're doing, the good things, and really kind of sell ourselves as a small school, small district. What sort of curriculum are we implementing? What sort of activities, what our scores look like? Everybody, I'll be honest with you, when you get people to move in, they look at your report cards. And the report cards don't show the whole picture, but that's not, they look at it. So we really need to work on how do we really focus. I'll be honest, again, if I'm bringing in a high schooler and I see that 9th grade on track is 33%, I'm going to take a breath and be like, is that the place I really want my kid to go? So it's really about putting out there, not only through our state data, but also through other social media means about what we're doing and how we're getting things in. So we're going to start really talking about how we get out that advertising. Elkton is a charter school. Elkton School District is a charter school, and they do a great job. And Nicole's really been looking, and her and I have been really kind of researching what do other small charter districts do, and really figuring out how we can do that as well. I think our CTE building will be a huge draw, but we also have to remember we have the elementary kids too. So we really need to look at our elementary systems and things that we do in activities, because how you build a school, and while it is important for the high school and for us to really focus on getting kids graduated on track, we build a culture by starting young. And so how do we get those kids in our system and really focused on that piece? So we're looking on that. I would like to see that number closer to like 285, 290. But the other thing, even as a small school, there are pros and cons to small schools. Con is we don't have a lot of like teacher options, but a pro is our classes are small. In fact, I think in Corvallis, actually, no, I was talking to somebody in Medford School District, and their son is student teaching. He's like, loves the student teaching, hates the fact that his 9th grade health class has 40 kids in it. 40? Mm-hmm. And that's South Medford High School. So, we don't have 40 kids in our classes, but so we can kind of focus on that small piece. So you know, we gotta really find our strengths and really play up on them, so.
I just like that it's a focus, so thank you for that. All right, safety report.
We
Okay,
met for
I
our
found this on the web for safety report. Wow.
third meeting.
I don't even know how to turn that on. Why did it pick up your voice?
Okay, we had our third safety committee meeting last night, and we've got a whole new committee, so we've got some fresh eyes looking at things. Sarah Littlefield and I did our quarterly walkthrough last month and found some areas, more especially out on the playground, some issues, as well as a couple of gates on our fence that are, you know, need adjusting or locks checked or things like that. They had some really good ideas, and we are kind of excited about seeing how we can start developing things like maybe a crisis team, or we looked at some winter preparedness and to make sure, you know, how do we get the word out to our families? How do we communicate that there's no school, starting a phone tree for staff to make sure that they've got that information. And so that's what we've been doing.
Great.
How do we determine if buses can run like due to weather through the past? Like, how do we make that?
Well,
Since we didn't get a camera put up when they came to visit
Yeah.
us, the council people had.
so Carmen Martin has different contacts that go through the different passes at like literally 3:30, 4 in the morning. And they kind of tell her it is, and when we watch, and then she'll give me a call and say, hey, I think, you know, well, based on this, a 2-hour delay, or we need to cancel. Our first bus leaves at 5, so we're trying to get it as early as we can. I'm not a huge fan of calling it the night before unless you really for sure know. I've had school call the night before and the next day you're like, oh, let's go to the beach. And especially when we talk about instructional hours and we don't want to miss too much. So Carmen sends it out. Our goal would be, we are going to try to, if we have to call it, we'll call it hopefully before 5. So we don't have that first bus going. 6 would be the latest. But yeah, she calls and she has different people that we know go over the mountain. They go to Waldport, Lobster Valley, things like that. So that's really how we do call it.
She sometimes goes out and drives said roads
Oh, yeah, I was
as well.
just curious. I was
Yeah,
curious.
She does.
I mean, I've never seen him, I mean, only maybe once or twice. I thought, well, we can back it at it, but it was questionable. I'm always on the side of caution.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, she has been known to just go and take a
all
look
the
for herself.
technology we have in the world today, you'd think it would be easier than someone driving their car around.
That's the best part at 3:30 in the morning. I'm just kidding.
not really.
I've done it before.
I do think that calling it the night before is helpful in the sense of a 2-hour delay.
If we do
Because
it,
then
yeah.
our parents can
Yeah.
have time to get their life in order for the next day.
Yeah.
Um,
I also don't like the phone ringing at 4:30.
well, I like the remind app for that because thing rings.
Yeah, no, I mean, and
must be booked.
we've been literally sitting down and talking about it. How do we get new information out to families and things like that? But yeah, that's how we do. We have different people call in. Some of them are loggers, so they'll call and be like, we can, you know, we're sliding around. I'm like, don't want my bus out on the highway with a log truck then. So, yep.
All right, thank you. Bond information. Do we?
The Gigis aren't here.
Aren't
It's
here.
it's
So
pretty
you're-
much
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
We are just doing the pre-bond meeting next Wednesday. And you know, we're hoping by January, the board should approve. Remember, when we do the bid, it is the lowest bid. We don't get to read and be like, oh, we like these guys better. I believe Oregon law, Don, tell me correctly, is low bid.
Yeah, because you're going on a
Mhm.
Yep. So
they won't be there.
perfect.
And you said that was a pre-bid meeting next week.
I think it's at 3:30 now. I think it's next Wednesday at 3:30.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, we're into new business. Bus surplus.
Carmen Martin is on. If you have any questions.
Why is he doing that?
Are you on your computer and on your phone, Carmen?
No.
Yep, there she is.
Oh, you sound perfect now.
Well, it's because my phone wouldn't connect to the internet, so Bryn did it in case it came up before I got my phone to work right. Anyway, I'm here.
You guys have any questions for Carmen about this, the 2 buses we're requesting to be surplused?
None. So we can entertain a motion.
Did it freeze?
I move to surplus buses number 9 and 16.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion from the board? All right, I hear no discussion. So Laura, I'll turn it to you for a vote, please.
Okay, let's take a vote. Jamie,
Yes?
Christine,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Soren.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Budget informational workshop discussion. I do believe that Dawn would like us to have a work session in January that we can actually discuss the budget, ask questions, really get a better understanding of what is being looked at and what we presented throughout the year. And so really give us some dedicated time to work on the financials. So we just have to pull up our calendars and agree on a date.
Is it January?
When is we
January.
moved the board meeting in January, right?
We moved it to
January
10th, right?
10th, Yeah.
Yes. How long would you anticipate you would want the board with you?
Probably a couple of
5, 6.
So the board meeting's on the 10th, not the 11th, right? I need to make
Yes.
that, just to be sure. In a couple hours, so.
Yeah, my goal is to give you a projection based on what the state has given us. And look at current expenditures, and extend them out a couple of years. So that you can see what kind of financial impact is. Grant goes down, people have to go to the general fund or vice versa. Give you a overview of the process from there, so you can kind of get direction.
I think it definitely has to be after the 10th because we're going to go to school until the 8th. I mean, I don't think we want to meet while we're on break.
I like the sound of the 17th.
17th looks good. The Wednesday. And I think in the past we haven't done anything earlier than 6, just because work schedules can be a little tricky.
Looks good to me.
Okay. All right.
Conflict at the moment.
So what
We
I'm
wanna
hearing,
do-
Well, Wednesdays are definitely better for me
Yeah.
than Thursdays because I work every Thursday pretty much.
yeah, so I was thinking we can make a motion to approve this and I can chat with Deb tomorrow or I'll say
Okay.
tomorrow because it'll be late this evening. Make sure she's good with that.
And we could potentially move it up a bit. I may come in a few minutes late if we made it at 5:30 instead of 6. I think I could get here by 5:30, but
I'd rather do 6.
Okay.
I mean, only because I'll never remember.
And there's no
5:30,
rushing?
Even if I put it in my calendar, I'll either show up at 5 or 6. If it's not 5:30. But then maybe that's just.
okay. I'll make a motion to have a budget information workshop discussion on January the 17th at 6 p.m.
All right, so there's a motion for work session on January 17th at 6 p.m.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any discussion? The only thing I would ask is, Laura, could we really advertise this out to the community so they could be here to listen? It wouldn't be necessarily a patron comment work session. It would be for us as the board, but I think it could be highly beneficial for the community to hear what we're talking about and understanding the questions we're asking.
Sure.
Can we request to maybe, I guess we record them anyways, but maybe post in a little more Facebook page or
Yeah.
something?
Get it out. Not
A
a
little
Facebook
more
Live.
visual? No, not necessarily live, but
But
Like, do you share the
Zoom
two,
link.
yeah, or share the Zoom. So I've been doing that. We do need to start sharing, I believe, our board stuff on Facebook, so more access, but I do also think that after we record it, we could share the YouTube link so people can
Instead
see
of
it afterwards.
just into board books or whatever online if we
Mhm.
post it. So maybe it's a little more in your face. Yep, I would
Yeah,
agree.
that'd be great. Agreed. All right, any other discussion? All right, let's go ahead and vote.
Let's take a vote. Soren,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Yes.
Excuse myself.
Yes, yes. Well, let's take a 5-minute recess.
Thanks.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm totally fine with the 17th.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'll
Thank you.
Head out.
Good to go down the line. Thank you.
I'll call you.
Shake my hand.
Drive safe.
I'm not worried. What you said.
Chris and Nancy and I have everything, and Ben have it all reconciled. What it is. we'll go from there.
What?
I don't know if that is statute limitations for that one, actually.
We used to drive when it was when your windshield was too icy. My mom found out like that. Didn't you? I'm pretty sure because I had to go too.
All right, perfect.
All right.
Okay, there.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. We're back in session. We'll go with 1958. And next up is the EIS HSS grant agreements, which I do believe you are.
Yeah, it's just a quick
Presenting?
presenting. Yeah, needs no action. This is part of the integrated guidance. I just wanted you guys to see the applications, or I'm sorry, the grant agreements. Again, there's no action. It's informational only. The EIIS stands for Early Indicator and Intervention System. So we're using this money. It's like $1,300, $1,700. We're using it to actually send our secretaries to trainings on how to use Synergy correctly. Our HSS money is the High School Success Act money. So what they would call Measure 98. I believe we get something like 174,000 for this. This is spent mostly for our CTE teacher, the salaries and things like that for him, as well as part of salary for Kayla Wilson as the academic advisor to help with 9th grade on track. So I really just wanted to show you this. It's a 40-page. It's an amazing read if you want to go to sleep. But these are what we turned in. Like I said, this needs no action. I just wanted you all to have it and it be out there for the community to read as well. So that's the EIIS and the HSS grants.
Perfect. All right, so no action. We'll move on to the SIA grant agreement.
Okay, this one does need action. Let me pull it up. So I have to present to the community and to the board if it's ever gonna come up. Gosh, is yours pulling up?
Mine did.
No,
Okay,
it's taking
finally.
its sweet time.
It's dead in the water here.
Do you want
Oh.
mine?
It's
Just
not
give it a
even
second.
spinning.
Twiddle your thumbs. Lift up your left foot.
Oh my gosh, I'll turn mine up and yours will work.
I have to share it though. I want to share it.
Oh,
See if I can get it. I'd like to share it. If not, we'll move on. I'll see if it pops up. So the SIA grant agreement is a student investment account. In this grant, we get approximately $874,000. There we go. For this particular grant, this one can be used for K through 12. 894, I'm sorry. Let me get it shared. Part of this is we have to set what they call longitudinal performance growth targets. And I've put in front of the board a couple times data from the state in terms of four-year graduation rate, 5-year graduation rate, regular attenders, third grade reading proficiency, and I can't remember the other one. Hold on. 9th grade on track. So we had to sit with ODE and collaboratively create growth targets for our students. So if you all would please go down, the first part's just the normal stuff. Again, if you want to have good reading to fall asleep, that's amazing. It's towards the end. Let me see if I can. It's amazing. I read it and went, I'm not doing it anymore. So I went to find where I needed to sign.
exhibit A.
I think it's exhibit B. We are on page 23. These are targets that we collaborated with ODE to create and that were accepted. So our targets first for 4-year graduation for this year, and I'm gonna be quite honest with you, I struggle with these numbers because I don't think they're ambitious enough. However, they want to make sure we're going to reach them, and this is all based off our previous data. I'll be honest with you, if I can't get 47% of our kids to graduate, y'all need to fire me. Same thing with Bart. Sorry, that's just how I feel. That right now we have a junior or a senior class of 10. If I can't get more than 5 kids to graduate, we need to work on something. But this year we're setting our target at 47%. I do believe that for all students, I do believe our average prior to this was like 45%.
A lot of that played into our Learn at Home
It
and
did.
other programs. That really is what dinged us. Because if I recall from my years of experience in the community, that we've never not had that percentage of students walk across that stage.
It did, unfortunately, because it's our data.
Yeah,
What I am gonna
agreed.
yeah.
It is what it is. But
What I'm also gonna tell you is if you look at our 9th grade on track, we have to build systems to get our high school kids from point A to point B, and that's what we're working on right now. We do have some students who aren't on track to graduate, and I'm not sure why that wasn't identified in 9th grade. But we're working on it. Like I said, Bart's going in, Kayla's going in. We're talking to teachers like, come on, guys, you know. I hear a lot of, well, like, oh, you don't know how hard it is. No, I don't, but you should have done this when you were a freshman. Like, so how do we build those systems? So the baseline target for all students, and I don't disagree with you, Jamie. My first conversation with ODE was our data is skewed. I can't even tell you if it's accurate. So I actually think we're going to have to go 2 or 3 years down the road to get rid of that data before we start seeing actual data. It was actually super hard for me to even set some of these because I said, I don't really know how you set from inaccurate data. So baseline target would be all students. Our stretch target is the one that we want to move towards. That's the one that they're saying is super ambitious. And then our focal groups were the students of color and students with disabilities, which that actually was a lower number than overall. So these are the targets we're reaching for the next 5 years. They may be adjusted as we move through. 5-year cohort, same thing. We have the all students, the stretch target, the gap closing. 9th grade on track. Little bit higher because we should have this. I think this is super important for us. And this is where Kayla and Bart have really been working with the ESD about systems we can bring in and meeting. I don't think there was a lot of communication with parents about what it actually means to graduate from high school. I think I'm going to be honest with you. I've heard this numerous times. Well, we come to ALSI because it's easy to graduate from there. I've heard that numerous times from people. From kids actually, who are like, oh yeah, we came here this year because last year we were in such and such a place and actually we didn't do well because you go to ALSI and you just get a diploma. That's literally what we've heard. So we have talked to the staff about that we need to raise the bar. The 3rd grade ELA proficiency, this one was actually super hard to set because we only had 2 data points because we had so much opt-out in the rest of the time. And so this was super hard for us to set. Our average for 3rd grade ELA proficiency between the 2 data points was like 19%. One year it was like 38 and one year it was like 11. It was a tough, like I told them, I said, you have to help me. I don't even know where to start. Regular attenders, we're working on that. I think, like I said, our average was 55%. And so these are numbers we're going to throw out at our staff and constantly talk about. And then our last one, we actually chose a local optional metric. We actually decided because we're giving the iReady to our entire school, K through 12, and can't really opt out of that we wanted, I actually think this data will be better than our 3rd grade reading proficiency. They wouldn't let me throw out the 3rd grade reading proficiency, but I think because this data, we actually have all of our students taking it, this is going to give us a better metric of where our students are academically, both for reading and math. But we chose reading because of the ELA piece. I struggle with our data. I've had lots of conversations about accountability with the state. I want them to hold us accountable. I want them to come in and say, hey, what's going on? What can we do to help you? But I want to also let our staff and our families and our students know, like, we are holding you accountable. When you come here, you are going to get an education. You don't come here because it's easy to graduate from ALSI. You come because you want to be in a system and in a community and in a culture where we value skills and we value kids leaving. And you're going to hear me say that. I actually said this to the kids last week. I could care less if you could quote Shakespeare. I could care less if you can graph a line when you graduate. I want you to be able to read, write, and be a good person. And we want you to hit your optimal, we want you to hit your potential, but you have to be here to hit your potential. And we have to come together and make this a place where people want to come to be. Like I said, I struggled with some of these, but we need to hold our staff, we need to hold our administration, our families, and our students accountable for what we have, because that's how we're going to make this a better place. And we need to improve it. When we're always going to improve, I'm already thinking about how can we improve things for next year? How do we look at scheduling for kids? How do we look at counseling for academics? And, how do we get kids out? How do we get staff to be trained? So using this data, I think, really helps us. One of the things that I'm excited to see is when we actually get the data in so we can see where we're comparing. But I had to show this. These are our targets that we're shooting for. ODE has said if you have not met your targets, they will come in and help with professional development and coaching and systems and different things like that. So this is what we're going for. Like I said, I know that our data is skewed, but it's our data. That's what we reported. And so, yeah. Any questions for me on this?
I do. So how did you arrive at the targets for iReady? If we just started it this year, there was zero data in the past.
Okay, it is. So thank you for bringing that up. What we did was is I took, and I presented this data to you all, I believe in October, is we took the tier 1 and tier 2, which is the green and yellow, and when you added them together, that's how the target went. So our goal is to take every kid in yellow and move them into green. And then it would be then taking the red and moving a majority, if not all, into the yellow. So that was hard for us because they said, well, you have to have all this data. We thought about using maps, like looking at the maps, but I don't also know, like the maps, I believe is only a K-5. And so it was really hard for us. So we got lucky that the state would use this for us and we're able to adjust every year as needed. So, yeah, that's how we got it. Thank you for asking. Because that was about a 10-minute conversation too.
Well, we wish you the best. Your endeavor to improve those.
Well, and like I said, I mean, the third grade,
I mean, there should be some inducement allowed, like,
the third grade was
reward
hard.
Success.
Yeah.
I wish, I mean, there's, we gotta find some passionate people about education who can help, incentivize our staff and people to help get us to a level of performance.
Well, and I think, just walking down and talking to people, I really do think people are seeing that we are trying to make changes and that we're really bringing in,
No, it really only takes like 1 or 2 people to get excited about something and it becomes contagious, and I think what we're seeing a little bit in the numbers of attendance and other things, right? You'll see that wave come, right? I think for me, I remember when I was a kid, our schools in our little town put on this reading thing in the summer and whoever won got to ride in a hot air balloon. And guess who won? It was my sister and brother and I that won. And I was so scared I wouldn't even get in the balloon. But everyone read all summer. Yeah, I was little though. I was like literally like 7 years old and it was freaky to go with here. But all summer we read book after book after book because we were poor. We grew up really poor. And this idea that we could go on a hot air balloon was the only time in my life. And I did go. But it's sometimes nice if you maybe petition the community to for someone to put something out there tangible for our students to strive for it, even if it's the senior class or the freshman, whatever it is. I'm not saying we can solve that tonight, but I know a lot of times when you dangle the carrot, people will go for it. And
Well, success breeds success. So
Right.
as we see these benchmarks coming closer and closer, you're going to get that buy-in. You're going to get that
Right.
excitement,
Right.
and it's going to push the next person to just be that much more excited. And our staff has felt beat down. Our district has felt completely tattered and torn. So the fact I'm already seeing great strides and positive attitudes and positive things happening, and I think that success is just going to continue the momentum. So
Yeah.
incentives are great too.
I mean, we get a big showing of our community out for sports games and stuff, especially important ones, and it's pretty fantastic for me to sit in that gymnasium and hear the energy of our town, this tiny little school. We could get that same energy in other things. Like when I walked around and saw the art displays during the open house, I was amazed at some of the talent we have with those kids, right? And I think building that energy and promoting our kids, like you said, putting these things on Facebook and getting more community involvement, maybe asking the community to come and judge instead of the teachers, right? And you can vote for your favorite and we'll have a community winner. Things that really promote, because I was literally like, wow, some of the stuff was really impressive. I could, but anyway, you're doing a great job. We'll
well,
get there.
there are things I'm definitely looking at for improving and there are things we can make better. I appreciate it. One of the things I do want to talk to the board about, and this is just kind of a forewarning, in about 2 years, that $894,000 is probably going to be cut in half. So a lot of this is about putting in systems now and then figuring out what is sustainable. Like things like, summer programs, after school programs, we put in STEM money so we can buy things for our elementary that really helps with our STEM piece. We put in, college field trips. It's super important to me. The best thing when I went to college is when you got to go on a college, you got to go on a college campus because I didn't really know what they looked like. And when I went my previous job, sometimes we went to so many college field trips. I was like, do they have to come to school in order to pass to go to college? And so that's important to me now. And Kayla and Bart and Roxy Seston and I've talked. we want to just get our kids out. They need to go experience stuff. So like, for example, when they went to Eastern Oregon for the basketball game, we went to Eastern Oregon University because I've never been there, but I wanted the kids to go see because we have money in our grants to pay for having them eat in the cafeteria there. So getting to experience those things. And so we're trying to set up those systems and get the kids out. I couldn't believe how many kids come back. I talked to a junior and I was like, why do you want to go to OSU? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. And I talked to him after he came back from Easter. He's like, I know where I want to go. They have my major. I really like the building. Can we start talking about it? So we want those kind of excitement. And I just don't even want to take the high school BART. And I've talked about taking like 4th through 8th grade on trips. So we're going to take our 7th and 8th graders. Let's go to LBCC. Let's take our 4th and 5th graders and 6th graders. Let's go to LBCC just to get them out and experience. You know, I have no problem with people wanting to come to the LC community and living. I think they need to experience something. So when they come back, they're bringing a tangible whatever. And so it's really about getting them here. Let's get them to their maximum potential and then experience things and going out. So right now, I do think we're going to probably stay but over that $800,000 mark for the next 2 years. So it's really about buying things and putting systems in place. And then as that money goes down, really talking about then like, what do we really spend it on? Right now, I will tell you probably out of the 894,000, I bet you 500 of it is salaries that we were able to pull out of the general fund, but we were able to put them in different categories that fit there. So now we're saving $500,000 out of the general fund. So when we have this decrease, now we have that. And so, yeah, so it's just about really looking at it and looking at our goals. We will have to go through a community engagement, I believe, this spring again to kind of see where people are at. I want to get more community engagement rather than just 2 parents. I really want to know what parents want to see. So, yeah, we're really working on that. And I'm hoping once we start getting our data and seeing us growing, we're just go from there.
Thank you so much for that overview. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept the SIA grant agreement and the LPGTs as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, any discussion? We had some and some questions, so. All right, I don't hear any, so Laura, can I ask you to handle our votes?
Yes.
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 All right, next up is an AEA district MOA salary placement for Olson.
It's just an MOE or MOA that would extend an MOA that was put into place by the school board in December 2021. So yeah.
Do we need, I don't need to step out of this vote, do I?
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for Olson placement.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for Olson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, Laura?
Yes.
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 And then our final piece of the new business is to set a date for an executive session for superintendent evaluation. The progress.
So Laura, that would be 5F. We'll just need to have that.
5F, yeah, sorry. Preferably, I think we have it set on our calendar for this month. We could absolutely do that as a virtual executive session. Closed room, headphones type of situation. It really is to give our superintendent feedback against the goals, however like things are going, and then also we kind of take the note from that and have the knowledge for as we go into the evaluation pieces. So you have multiple checkpoints. So that's really what this is for.
We think no more than an hour?
I would like to set it for no more than an hour, but do you have any feelings on that?
I would like, I think, I don't mind doing it virtually. I would like feedback about things that could be improved. Things that you're seeing based on the goals I've set. We've set, sorry, collaboratively. I would say no more than an hour, but
I don't really care. I mean, I don't see the difference in being virtual or live. I mean, it's not much harder to drive them out of school, but
No, sorry, it was just more like we knew it was last minute. We wanted to get it done in December, so I wanted to make sure that we were flexible for everybody's schedules.
yeah, I mean,
It's
I'm
actually
like,
easier
I don't even have to
just
sit
not
outside.
here.
yeah, and I would ask that it would be in an executive session so we can have an authentic conversation about what. So we would just need to open it and then we'd close or go into an executive session.
Can we do next Wednesday?
Do we know what this? Do you mean the 20th?
Yeah.
I wonder just what is happening out. I mean, not that, it doesn't affect mine. My schedule.
It's the next basketball. Not till the 22nd.
Okay.
I mean, it's like, I don't
There's
even
no middle
look at
school?
next week, because no matter what I do, it's gonna be bad. I'm just gonna say, this is gonna be like, if it's a night that I have a hearing next week, I mean, it's a rough week, so, and it's like the only week we have to get ready for Christmas, so I can tell you right now, like, my time is severely limited. So whatever you guys decide.
Well,
I
but if you-
cannot do the 21st. That's our court date in Portland. And I mean, I don't think you guys understand the complexities of that. Like, I wouldn't imagine you do, but I get, it's really tough for me even leading up to that. Because our family has to speak at this to the defendant, and it's 4 days before Christmas, so we just have a really tough family week this week. So
would it be better to look at the week of Christmas?
So like the 27th, 28th, or 29th.
There's a tournament.
I know.
well,
we
and
can set up
I
your
actually,
ticket.
I mean, we had to
The
cancel our
evening.
trip to Seattle this weekend to see our family, so we're planning on going to see Angel's family because I'm off that week, and I don't know what dates, but I mean, I will try to do it. I'm just, like, I mean,
What about the week? And I'm just throwing this out there. What about that first week? So like the 3rd, 4th, 5th of January. Would that work a little bit further out?
well, I mean, it's just relative, I guess, to everyone else. I'm not, I don't know. It's not,
Do Thursday the 4th. If you're willing to. We don't have a game on the 4th.
I feel bad. I just like, I mean, I put a lot off the last week just because, and I just know it's just be hard.
Well, what about the 4th? We could do it virtually. I don't mind if we do this virtually. If it's easier to do it.
It'll be later. And that, we thinking, trying to do one at 6 or,
6, 6:37, doesn't matter.
okay.
I don't have a preference after 5.
I just have to get home and locked in.
We have a
So
board meeting on the
6.
10th as well, right?
And then we'd have a work session on the 17th. Should we have things back to back to back?
So I mean, I don't mind doing this virtually. I really truly don't. I think it would be easier for everybody. I don't think it would take more than an hour, but if it takes an
Well,
hour.
if you want to do it the 20th, we can do it the 20th. If that's, I would rather not have 3 meetings in
Okay.
2 weeks in January. I mean, that's like,
So,
I mean, I can.
are
squeeze an hour
Mondays
out,
good
but-
for people?
What's that?
Are Mondays okay?
Yeah, Mondays are typically good for me.
Because I'm willing to reschedule ours if need be and just do a quick hour that evening.
Okay.
On the 18th, you mean?
Yeah,
You mean,
Monday.
like,
So Laura, if we
On
did it
this
on Monday,
coming
the
Monday?
18th, we have to put it out tomorrow. Like morning.
oh, for notice, yeah.
Yeah.
Could
we'd have-
we,
That way we can just
Um,
get it done.
could we have it at 6 o'clock?
I would do in person.
Like, could it be 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
I have to work at the coast that day, so I'll be driving home at 4.
Yeah, I can do 6.
Maybe 6. Okay,
So, executive session, the 18th at 6 p.m.
Yep.
That's our And it is gonna be live in person here.
I'd say either one, truthfully. If you're like, I can't make it, but I don't mind.
I'll be here in person.
I can be here in person. I mean, like, it's just not easy for me to do an executive session at home, because there's just too many people in our tiny house. It's like hard.
And we said 6 p.m.
Yes.
So
Was-
I'll come
we have to
even
do
if none of
motion
them does. I
and all
don't
that
care.
stuff.
Okay,
Does that work for Deb? She's not on it anymore.
okay.
I'll chat with her too and
Okay.
make sure and obviously there'll be a calling option
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
This would be a,
We're
It
not
would
gonna
be
be
two-
voting on anything, right? It's
No, we're
like,
just
okay,
talking.
Yeah.
it would be 2I, Laura.
I'm okay with the 20th, 18th.
The 18th.
Okay.
So, so a motion?
I'll make a motion to have our executive session goal review with Ms. Nerat on Monday, the 18th at 6 p.m.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We've discussed. So Laura, will you handle the voting?
Yes.
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 All right. Thank you all, and I apologize for the late catch on that. Okay, so we have nothing under old business. We have nothing under first reading, nothing under second reading. Board comments. Do board members have any comments they want to share this evening? Well, I will share one to our students. We had this STEM night last night or 2 nights ago now. Was it last
2
night?
nights ago.
2 nights ago? Was it? So the organizers from the STEAM group really wanted to call out how amazed they were with our high schoolers. And I don't know how special that, if our students really understand how special that is. So in a world where they see multiple students and they don't always see engagement, what they recognized of our students was how respectful they were, how kind, how helpful, how put together they were, their ability to have conversations and make eye contact. So I just wanted to say a huge shout out to our high schoolers. You guys are doing amazing things. People are recognizing it. Please do not stop. Anything else? All right, so the next one we have is just future agenda items. Is there anything that a board member wants to discuss or add for future agenda items for discussion? Okay, well then let's go through some key dates. Our winter break will be December 22nd through January 5th. Our Clemens tournament will be December 27th through 29th. We will have a school board meeting on January 10th at 7 p.m. and dental screening for our K through 6th graders on January 11th. And with that, we will adjourn at 2028.
Does not,
Good night, everybody.